You guys asked for it. Let's talk about cocks. No, not that kind of cock, this kind of cock. Firstly, a watch movement is made up of many components, all or most of which need to be secured to the main plate. And what secures those components to the main plate is generally considered a bridge and sometimes a cock. So what's the difference? Let's use this Langenheine Georg, or for you non-native German speakers, George, so you can better visually understand the difference between a bridge and a cock. When looking at the movement of this Langenheine Georg, it's actually very unconventional compared to your traditional movement design. By that I mean there are actually more cocks than there are bridges, so let's break this down visually. Well, it's considered a bridge if it has two anchor points on opposing sides of the components which are secured to the main plate. As you can see, there's a securing point on both sides of the balance itself. Bridges sometimes secure multiple components to the main plate, like in the case of a 2/3 and a 3/4 plate found in German movements. On the contrary, you can see the center wheel here is secured by a bridge that's suspended and secured from one side, making this a cock. It's important to note the number of screws is not always a clear differentiation, rather the number of anchor points and the suspension over the component. So in layman's terms, if it's anchored on one side of the component and suspends over that component, it's considered a cock. If it has two anchor points on either side of the component, it's considered a bridge. Now it's really important to note that regardless of whether it's a bridge or a cock, it needs at least two positioning pins. Now what do I mean by that? If you see next to this blued screw, there are two very small steel colored dots. These are actually steel positioning pins. So without these positioning pins, the movement would cease to function because all these bridges and cocks have to be secured exactly in the same position each time they're assembled to the movement. And we're talking hundreds of a millimeter here. And what happens when a bridge or a cock shifts even a little bit? The components will bind together because the distance between each component changes. So now you know when it's appropriate to use the word cock when you're with all your watch collector friends. And of course, if you're interested in this beautiful Langenheine Georg from Dresden, Germany, send us a DM or visit wristcheck.com, and as always, we'll see you at Wristcheck.